All right, today, since we're going into we're already well into the kind of patio furniture season, I want to get this video done just so I don't have to explain all of this in every video as I go. The multiple options that we have for finishing the boards and the selection of wood available for us to use to build these things out of. So I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of everything that I know about it, and this is all my opinion and based on experience. And all of you people that know stuff about it, chime in the comments, please. Let's have a back and forth, and so we can all learn about this stuff. I have a bunch of stuff built in previous years, and we're going to show you what they look like before and what they look like now after the weather's beaten on them, and we're going to break this down as to what the best finishes possibly are. All right, now let's get to this. All right, starting out with the wood that we're going to be using. This is basically our choices for outside stuff. So we got a cedar fence picket, pressure treated, and just a spruce 1x6. In the US, you're going to have pine. Spruce and pine are pretty much the same thing. They're not exactly the same thing, but they're both soft. I think spruce is a little bit stronger. Our building codes here make us use spruce, so we do have pine here, but our construction lumber is spruce. So it behaves almost exactly the same as pine, it just stains out a little different. We're going to take this one at a time here. So we're going to start out with cedar. Okay, so for cedar, you can just leave it the way it is. Let the weather do its thing to it. It's weather resistant, rot resistant, bug resistant. And after a year or two, it looks like this. Not a big fan, but some people like it. Here's an untreated one. This one's been done with teak, which is rated for outdoor use. I don't have a long-term study on this one because I only started using it this year. However, I do have an experience using double-boiled linseed oil, which is what I used last year. And after 1 year out in the weather, that's what it looks like. So now this needs to be all sanded down and recoated. All right, so after we're done going through the wood here, I will go into the finishes more specifically. I just wanted to show you what the results were. Next on, pressure treated. Pressure treated is what it is. Ours look a little different than the ones in the States because theirs are pine. They seem to be more green than ours. Ours used to be green, but now they're brown. So whenever you're using pressure treated and you make a cut, you're supposed to put this or this, whatever wood preservative on the cut to basically deal with the fact that you cut off the pressure treated. I watched a video of a guy who brought pressure treated wood home, didn't like the surface of it, and ran it through the planer and took all of the pressure treated off of it and then thought it looked great. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you who that was, but not impressed. Do not run it through a planer. If it stops being the color that it is, it means it's not going to work anymore. So after this dries, you can stain it. We'll get more into that later. Typically, you got to wait about a year because when this comes, it's pretty wet. They just take it out of the solution there. They put it on a lift and they wrap it all up and they ship it out. So there's a whole slew of issues that can come with pressure treated if it comes really wet. Because as soon as it comes, it's beautiful and it's straight when it's wet. But as soon as it dries out, if you don't have it stacked properly, it'll turn into a hockey stick if you're not careful. All right, and last off, we have the spruce / pine. Why are these still here? Those have nothing to do with this. So here we are with our spruce / pine. And these are going to be kiln dried. I'm pretty sure everything I've ever seen here is kiln dried. I don't know about everywhere else. Which means it's ready to accept stain as soon as you get it home. This is mainly the sort of thing that I like to use for building patio furniture because I don't like pressure treated. Cedar's way too expensive. Nobody wants to pay for it. You can't build patio furniture out of fence pickets. And if you do, please stop and don't sell them to anybody. All right, well, let's just move on to the finishing of the boards then. All right, we're going to go back to cedar here to start with. It's pretty simple. Like I said, leave it untreated. Teak oil. I really wouldn't use tung oil or linseed oil based on the result that I showed you. We'll have to come back and see how this one weathers over time. This is Australian timber oil in natural color on a cedar board, so you can see the difference. This stuff lasts up to 5 years. That's what I'm doing from now on. And we'll get a little bit more into that when we get into the spruce board. But this is my solution to this problem. I don't want somebody coming back and showing me that thing a year after I did it and saying, what are you going to do about it? That is not efficient. All right, so back to these two guys. Assuming this one has dried sufficiently, having no more than probably about 20% moisture in it, or this one, which is going to come that way, now you can finish them how you want. All right, this is specifically for pressure treated wood. So this planter we built about 2 months ago, and it's been sitting out in the sun ever since. So if you look in here, you can see the shrink that went in there. There was no airspace there when we built it. And that's using deck boards. So just a heads up, if you use fence board, you're gonna get significant shrinkage. What I like to do with the fence boards is I'll take them outside, let them sit in the sun a little bit, and hopefully they don't warp too much before I build it, because otherwise it's gonna crack. So that's the problem with fence boards when they come super wet. So moisture meters are very helpful. So if you look at these, this is a kiln dried 1x6. That's pretty dry. Anything less than 20 is not bad. This is a cedar board that's been sitting around. It's dried out now. This one's been around in a stack for about a year, and this is a fence picket. So that one's about usable now. If that's over 20, it's too wet. Now going back to this as well, they say that you're supposed to wait a year before you can stain pressure treated. That's not really true. It's kind of the same philosophy of changing your oil every 3 months. It's not every 3 months, it's every 5,000 kilometers or 3,000 miles. So this is the case with this. 15% is the magic number for being able to stain, so we're almost there. Another month and it'll be ready to go. Truth be told here, you're probably not going to get below about 16, just based on wood that I have had in here for years. It never gets below 16. So that's pretty much ready to stain. In fact, that's 12 right there. So it doesn't take that long to dry if you leave it out in the sun. Now, the only reason why you would do this with pressure treated is if you really wanted the stain look and you wanted it in something like a planter like this, where you're going to have it lined and you're going to put soil in it. And you don't want the outside to look like this. That's really the only application you would use that for. Because if you're going to build like a bench, then just build it at a regular and stain it. I'm going to show you the results of this deck stain after 1 year. This thing was nice and vibrant last year when I did it. And I did some picnic tables at a local business, and now I have to go back and restain them. Very disappointed. I'm never using that crap again. Here's another example of a birdhouse that I did. It just does not, it fades way too fast and it starts to get peely. It's just garbage. So, once again, do you want somebody coming back to you in the spring after you sold it to them and say, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm not going to do anything with that garbage ever again. So, my go-to, and I'm not sponsored by, but I wish I was, Australian timber oil. Let's do the English side. So like I said before, lasts up to 5 years. Sometimes it's a little blotchy when it goes on or whatever, but that's going to blend in. The result, this is $77. These are about half that, but the value in this is 10 times greater than what this is, because you don't have to do anything with it. And by the time it wears out, the customer is going to be so far out of their warranty period that you don't have to worry about it. All right, alternatively to that, you can use an exterior acrylic latex paint. If you can get it with the primer in it, great. If not, prime it first. Make sure the wood's nice and sealed. Use that. If you use oil-based, which I don't even know if you can get anymore, but if you use oil-based, it is prone to bubbling and cracking. So acrylic latex is the way to go with that. And then just as it needs it throughout time, just keep painting it. Nice and easy. Okay, this is something I was exposed to last year. I ended up painting a cottage with it. I brought some home just to try it out. This is barn paint. So they have this at the Home Depot. It's a hybrid paint. It's an oil-water mix. Apparently it holds up really well. It comes in red and white. The white is tintable, so you can change it to what you want. I think this is a really quality paint for this. This, I believe, a gallon is about $24 or something like that at the Home Depot in the US. In Canada, you have to buy it by the 5-gallon pail, but it's still not that, it's still much cheaper than other paints. All right, so if you want to use just a traditional interior stain, like this early American, you can do that as long as you use an outdoor spar urethane to coat the top of it. Because this is UV protecting and water protection. So you can make your outside furniture look like inside furniture if you want to. So if you watched some of our earlier videos, you've seen that I painted the legs on some of our early planters with this, which is a Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch Flat Black. It works really good. It holds up quite well, and it covers really well too. And it says right on it, it's for wood. All right, so on to application. If you want to use something like the Olympic or Thompson's Water Seal, then you can use one of these sprayers. We just pump it up and then use the wand. Or you can get a spray thing like this. You can get them pretty much at any battery platform. We have a DeWalt one here. Trick with that is you got to figure out where you're going to do it. Do you want to turn your shop into a place that looks like it's from the show Dexter? Or do you want to be out in the driveway doing it and worry about overspray? I don't use those, but you can figure that out if you want to. All right, paint brushes. This is a 1.5 inch angled paintbrush. This is great for painting interior walls. This one's about $12. We are not going to use anything like this for this. So I use these dollar store paintbrushes. These ones work pretty good. Anybody in Canada, these are Dollarama brushes. In the US, let us know down below where to get brushes that are $1.25 or so a piece. So I use these. You know, just make sure that the bristles that fall out, you just pick them out. But we're not making fine furniture here, we're making outside stuff. So I don't just use these and throw them out. I wrap them up in a plastic bag and reuse them as long as I can until they become unusable, and then I chuck them out. So yeah, I just get cheap foam brushes for putting on wood preservative, whatever works for you. If you want to use a roller, by all means. I use these little guys here for just the fine stuff. This is all going to be different when we move inside, but for patio furniture, this is good enough. All right, so this is the one that we did in the last video, so it's less than a week old. This one's been sitting outside for over a year, so you can see that it's not faded at all. The other thing to take away from this is this one's a lot lighter than this one. Why is that? Because this one was done from lower down in the can, so that's why you got to keep stirring and stirring and stirring and stirring. Another example, this is our early American coat rack that we did in a previous video. And here's another one from the exact same can. So I didn't stir it enough. It worked out okay for me because they wanted it darker, but yeah, I didn't do it right. All right, so now on to the method of finishing things. My method is far easier than the methods that I've seen before. I basically cut everything, prep everything, and then I sand everything and paint everything before I put it together, because it's just so much easier and better coverage and smoother, and just it's better in every way. So all I do for that is I get my handy dandy sawhorses that I don't care if I get paint on. And then I will either lay, 2x3s or whatever I got laying around across, or the bench top like you're going to see. Or sometimes if I have a ton of stuff, I'll put my 28-foot ladder across it, all extended out, and then I'll just paint everything, then flip it after it dries, paint everything, and then start assembly after it's all done. So when I stain things before I build them, which is how I do it because it's much easier, I put X's on the spots where I know that the boards are going to get mounted. That way I'm sticking wood to wood. Because when I deal with interior stains such as this, it doesn't matter because there's no sealer in it, so you can stain it and then glue it and it'll be fine. But with this, the glue's only going to be as strong as what the sealer is on the stain. So if you do that, then you're going to get a really nice bond. So that's how I do it. I stain everything and then I assemble it. Now, having said that, I will assemble to some degree. So I put that in there before I stained it. But you get to a comfortable point. If you've ever tried to paint something after it's built, you'll know what I mean. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments to see what your experiences are. Hopefully I can learn something from it. I'm guessing any quality deck stain is going to be just fine. I just really like the Australian timber oil, and I think that it solves a lot of my problems. And yeah, be sure and like and subscribe. Okay, we're going to link to a bunch of the products in the description if you want to check them out. And if you want to check out the bench video that we just talked about, you can click on that right there. And I don't know what the guy's going to put right there, but it'll be something. All right, thanks for watching.